as you say, most people will not have got to grips with it, and perhaps how women have been drawn into it. Melissa, when you hear that and you think about the role of women in getting Trump to the White House and also perhaps the role they're playing, as Helen describes, what do you say to that as an American woman?
I think that as a historian, I think that there's a long history of white women being involved in upholding white supremacy. And I think that you really see it in the 19th century. You see it during the aftermath of the civil rights movement. You see it during the war on drugs. And so I think really, in many ways, white women in particular have been very involved in this project of white supremacy all along.
Helen, do you see, where you were talking there about men leading and dominating this, do you see women as, I don't know, having less agency in this, or how do you view them in the context of this world that you've come to understand?
I think because it's such a complicated mash of several different things, different women have different motivations and different levels of engagement. There are some people who are followers of QAnon who, dip into it on a Facebook group. They don't realize that they're part of something that is grafted onto a sort of fundamentally anti-democratic, racist project. But there have always been women in the far right movement who have, played that classic kind of anti-feminist role, saying, I think women are happier at home. I think women, Kinderkirche Kusche, right? This idea that children, the home, those are women's roles in life. And if you're a woman who is prepared to say that is women's highest calling in life, then guess what? You can get a lot of fame and attention as a white woman by saying those things in the far right movement. And some women have gleefully seized those opportunities.
And the role of the politicians as well, Helen, looking at what some of the senators, for instance, the outgoing Senator Kelly Loeffler, tell us about her role in last night. I mean, she's been going for it in terms of inciting, you could say, the crowds.
Well, I think what's happened is that some members, and not all members of the Republican Party, have ridden the tiger and have now realised that the tiger is running around biting people. And as you say, the former senator from Georgia, actually dismissed from office yesterday by the electors in Georgia, who elected their first African American senator, have now realised that it's not a good look to be supporting someone who is now, let's be honest, we're talking about someone who endorsed an armed militia raiding democratic institutions. That is essentially fascism at this point. So there are some people who are still clinging on to the Trump bandwagon. Ted Cruz, one of his former primary opponents, was still voting yesterday to say the election results shouldn't be certified. But there are other people in the party who are recent converts to embarrassment. And there are other people in the party like Mitt Romney, who's the only Republican senator to vote to impeach Donald Trump, who have essentially broken with the structures of their party to say, this guy is really dangerous and we have to take it seriously. He's not a conventional politician at this point. He's a demagogue and a would-be authoritarian. We're only saved from his authoritarianism by his fundamental laziness and lack of coordination.
Difficult Women is the title of your book, Helen. Some of these people will see themselves as difficult women. What do you make of the idea that women being thugs, as it were, is another part of equality? Women being just as, in inverted commas, bad as men?
Yes, it's not a glass ceiling that I'm particularly keen for women to break, it has to be said. But I think it's really, what you say is really important, that you have to try and understand that people that you see as villains cast themselves as the heroes in their own story. And to the mums who support QAnon, they are the only thing standing against children being kidnapped and raped. That is a very powerful story to tell yourself. And if you don't understand the motivations of people, that's not to excuse them, but you have to understand that these people think that they are crusading for justice. It's just that they are doing it in the service of a lie that they have come to believe.
Melissa, the women around Donald Trump, then, we know that there were some resignations yesterday, not least press secretary, also the assistant to the First Lady, giving in her notice, people who have been, of course, very loyal to the president. Ivanka, his daughter, who's played several roles during this presidency, also retracted her tweet, one of the tweets around these individuals being patriots. What do you make of their role, Melissa?
Well, I think the case of Ivanka Trump is particularly interesting. As you said, she wrote a tweet yesterday that called the protesters patriots. She was saying, telling them to kind of stop the violence, but still kind of called them patriots, and got a lot of criticism for doing that. And then afterwards deleted the tweet. And I think she has been very kind of complicit in Trump's project all along. In some ways, she has been serving kind of as a go-between between Trump and women in America, particularly conservative women. And so I think she has been someone that many kind of women, conservative women, particularly white women, have looked up to. And I think she is very complicit in what has happened. And I would also note that the outgoing Senator Kelly Loeffler, who we've just been talking about, really kind of rode to fame, got a great deal of.
I've heard enough. What do I think in the British Broadcasting Corporation's role to do with possible paedophilia and child abuse? If it is happening, I think there is a right for us to investigate it. I think that there's a right for man to express that there is an element of fraud going around. The New World Order is represented by the Roman cult legal system and somewhat the cult of religion, as there is no proof and evidence, and it's a belief system. The legal system is based on beliefs. Their belief and our belief are two different things. The BBC believe certain things here. So if you are writing and commanding Anglo-English, the world's most spoken language is English, well, it isn't actually English, newsflash, it is actually legalese, and it is purported as English. This is a language that looks like English, it writes like English, it sounds like English, but it isn't English. Example, what is your name? My name is David Jeremita, and I represent as an ambassador, a witness, a diplomat, grantor, settlor, principal, trustee, layman, apostolate, splspro.com. And I support anybody that may go around after the likes of Pizzagate and the horrendous revelations by the House of God, by the papacy, calling in all of the bishops there to ask them why they are committing child molestation. And the first ever meeting of the VAT-I-CAN, VAT-I-CAN, giving orders and collecting in all of the papacy representatives and the pontiffs of the church and kicking their arses and saying you do not have sex with 12-year-old girls or boys. So there is no women in the church. It is a belief system, much like the legal system, and a name is not something I am often known to go by. Why? Because it isn't a benefit. It begins with a capital letter. It's a noun, it's an object or a thing. I am of this realm, but I play no part of it. Little quote from John there, of one of the Gospels and a chapter of. So there is a fraud upon man with a language and a legal system that's purported as English. That's why English is the most spoken language and the common tongue around the realm. And I am not a name, and it's only when it's a benefit to me will I be known to go by a name or even to claim the title of the Mr. that is afforded to that name. And I am here to tell you that you've all been hoodwinked and you're in a cult system already of a religion that is not proven. You have a legal system that is a cult system coming from the Sun Temple, BAR, London, solicitors, etc. And I am called David, and I am of the clan and family Jeremita. I represent www.splspro.com. And if you are a QAnon supporter or have looked into it, or you are a woman that is looking for strength and as an omega wants to rid this pale, stale, male, dirty, lying, deceitful system, then I suggest you consider having a look at our homepage, where we've got a landing page for you on Sierra Papa Lima Sierra, let me just swallow there, Papa Romeo Oscar.com. I've only been up a short while, and I turned on the wireless to hear this as I was making a drink for myself and my princess there, and here we go, lockdown number 3, and many people will have the wireless on, being influenced by the influenced by the influenza, by the mouthpiece of the British Broadcasting Corporation. And I, for one, wanted to air my views upon this review and their place in forging people's opinion. They've got proof that there is no paedophilia going off. Let's hear it. Otherwise, we have got right to investigate it. And the evidence, after certain, the Vatican is the biggest news story I can give you there. And I have evidences of the meeting that the papacy called, the first of its kind. And we have evidences of the, Pedesca, Pizzagate, and the sick stuff that happened there. I'm going to link in women running for presidency, and the Clinton scandal exposure, trying to finger Russia and Putin for this, bringing in world politics, disgusting. And if you are interested in any of this, and you do support and you want to investigate if there is a possibility into the I don't know what you'd call them there. They're not elite at all. They're just rich, ignorant, vexatious psychopaths known as the elite, and they're possible Hollywood media, world news, narratives that come out being involved in this and covering it up and helping each other and using adrenochrome. Then come and visit us at splspro.com. Email contact@splspro.com worldwide. We want to hear from you, all right? We love you and we welcome your efforts and we salute you in a non-military way as part of the Jesus Army. Bless up, much love. Ciao bello. Let's leave it till 11:11. I like that number.